me. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us, and then thank you for Ivana for speaking for the event. Okay, Ivana, so please take over the event. Yeah.
Awesome, Dominique. Well, it's a pleasure, guys, to be here. Okay, so my name is Ivana Tilca. My role is I'm a technical innovation evangelist at a company that is called 3XM Group that actually is in the US, but they have like a subsidiary in Argentina where I'm at speaking right now. I'm in Argentina. And I am also a Microsoft MVP, but I'm an MVP in artificial intelligence. And I like to research a lot, and I also like to play around a lot with Azure Remote Rendering and extended reality and virtual reality and everything. So today I decided, so Dominique invited me and I said, okay, what should I talk about? And I said, okay, Azure Remote Rendering is the one. And this is going to be an introduction. So if you'd like to learn more about remote rendering, you can contact me and I can guide you to the repositories or the pages that where you can find whatever you need in order to apply this technology to your projects and helping your customers apply to it. So let's begin. So today we are going to cover a lot of things. And if you're just starting to get into this kind of technology, don't be afraid, because the idea is for me to walk you through everything pretty slowly and and try to explain everything. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just jump into the session and ask me. And first of all, I wanted to explain the scenarios and the business applications and the concepts of the technology before seeing actually demos on how to create and use this Azure service. I truly believe that the main potential of this is actually to understand where you can apply it. And of course, how much does it cost, because it is an Azure service. And actually, working with it is like working with any other Microsoft service. And of course, you pay for what you use. So I need you guys to understand exactly what you will be paying once you start working with this kind of service. And I also would like to explain a little bit more about 3D modeling design, because it's important to understand that before you jump into this technology, because that's the key to know in which scenarios you will apply this service, okay? Now, first of all, the main definition for Azure Remote Rendering, according to Microsoft website, as you can see it on the slide, is Azure Remote Rendering is a service that enables you to render high-quality, interactive 3D content in the cloud and stream it, that's important, in real time to devices such as HoloLens and desktop applications. As you can see on the image, the remote rendering service will work together with another service from Microsoft, which is Azure Storage. I hope you're already familiar with that one. I am not going to explain why is this service involved, but I am not going to get deeper in how exactly it's used. I'm going to explain high level, but not exactly what it is, okay? Storage, the word says it all. It actually will help us put all our 3D models in the cloud. And one other thing that you need to understand in order to work with the service about this is that once you create your Azure Remote Rendering resource in Azure, it automatically will create also the storage that is connected to it, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. Microsoft makes sure that you have everything to start working on this. Awesome. Now, I am pretty sure you are wondering, why should I use this service? And if I already can include this kind of models in my applications in Unity, which is the main software that we are going to use. Well, if you are working with real case scenarios, you probably got into the situation that you are seeing in the image. Sometimes customers have their 3D models designed with so much detail, let's call it polygons, that in order for the model to run inside the devices, we need to reduce their polygons and we lose the quality and detail of our customer's design. So we are talking about models that are pretty big and that we cannot lose that quality, that actually it is what gives us the best holographic experience. And that's why Microsoft created these services. So Azure Remote Rendering uses the powerful GPUs that are in Azure, coupled with a highly optimized render, so you can render your client's most complex model into your devices. And these kind of models are often used in scenarios like industrial plant management, which is the first one that you can see in here, where you are probably working with engines or 3D machines designs that probably have hundreds of millions of polygons. So let's say you have a car factory and you have a 3D model that has all the particular pieces. I'm talking about each one of the pieces, small pieces of the car. So basically, all parts are important for your workers to understand and to see how they fit in the main model. So in that scenario, you need detailed model to be displayed for your workers. You cannot have the situation that something can be highly visible and usable instead of actually seeing like a twin of the actual car. Other common scenario are if your company needs, for example, to review assets, or if you are developing HoloLens application that can help with surgery. And as you can see, we need service in scenarios where we need detail, where we need actually where we can say that detail is what makes the difference. And I hope it is clear that we know that HoloLens, and let me go to my next slide. We know that HoloLens has a limitation, which is approximately 250 polygons in order to display something without any problems. But what happens if we need more? As if you're a designer and you understand that high quality design actually have much more than 250, then you get in this situation, okay, now I need something to help me. And this is where the cloud is there to help. Now, how can we decide which one of the different services we need from Azure Remote Rendering? We have not only the standard remote rendering, but also the premium remote rendering. And as you can see the difference in here, the standard has at least 8 teraflops of graphic computing, where premium has 42 teraflops. And let's talk about polygons, that we said that we have 250 in HoloLens. When in the standard remote rendering, we have approximately up to 20 million polygons. When in premium, we have up to hundreds of millions of polygons or more. So that's the difference between one and the other. I will explain later when do we make that decision in which one is the one that we are going to be using. Another key important factor in here is how much each one of them costs. So we have one which is the standard is for $60 per hour, but the other is $24 per hour. But actually, how are we charged? So we are charged for augmented Azure Remote Rendering when we actually allocate a rendering server for use, okay? And we do that by creating a session. Once you are charged for the first time you keep it allocated, what happens if you have fractional hours? Then you will be billed at a fractional rate, okay? Now, what else is important regarding cost? The asset conversion. So I will explain later in detail, and I will show you guys how this works on the cloud. But you have your file as a designer, which is an FBX file or a GLTF file. And the conversion, what Azure does is it makes a conversion to a type of file that actually is going to be the one that is going to be rendered to the device. And that format is our asset. And that's the conversion that you are seeing at the bottom that is going to be charged $0.75 US per asset. This is, how does it work? You only pay for this once. So let's go for an example. You upload your model and then you convert it to our set. That's what it's going to be charged. But once you do one conversion, not only your model will be hosted in this Azure storage, but your converted model will also be hosted in Azure storage. So that conversion will happen only once per file in the entire existence of your application. Of course, if you don't delete it, if you delete it, you will be charged once you convert it again. But what happens, it charges $0.75 US per that conversion. But the subscription that you have, each one of the subscription that Azure has, you have 100 conversions free per month, which means that if your company has, I don't know, you convert 30 models per month, then you won't be charged for the conversion. So if you are actually a company that has a lot of design, then you need to start thinking on this kind of payments or to pay for the asset conversion. If not, then you can skip that one, okay? Now, let's go ahead and let me explain how does a normal workflow work. So I just explained it a little bit, but you can see here a high level architecture that will explain better. So first, as a user, someone in a computer can upload the 3D model to Azure. We mentioned that the type of files that are being uploaded are both FBX or GLTF, and the user will upload the model to a blob storage. And then your application calls an API to convert the model into the R asset, which I told you guys is the format that will be displayed on the render. And then we will have stored our new file into the new blob storage. And this, as we mentioned, will only happen once. You will be charged for this only once. When you're ready to render, then your application calls another API to start a rendering server. And this is where you pick if you want the standard or the premium, the ones that we just saw. So the server you will pick is then available for you to load and render the model that you have stored in the output blob storage, okay? Now, when rendering, the server render frames back into your application running locally on the device. And once it gets back there, those frames can work with any local holograms you may have in your scene, plus the functionality that you call it. What does this mean? Let's say you already know how to create a HoloLens application. So you create something that has a couple of buttons that, I don't know, has the functionality to display, to change the color of a hologram of a model that you have inside your application, okay? We did, let's say in this example, we still did not apply Azure to it. So what happens if you suddenly, your customer, let's say we are building an application for a customer, and your customer now says, okay, now I want to upload that model that you are letting me change the design. Let's say, let's do it a little bit more specific. Let's say we have an application of different kind of clothes, and we have this application stored in our HoloLens that has 3 dresses and 3 t-shirts, okay? We can change and design the colors of that cloth. But let's say our customer says, okay, Ivana, now I want to upload whatever I want. I don't know, pants, pens, shoes, any model. And I want the same functionality of you letting me design that cloth be applied to the application that I already have. And that's when you only connect your application to the cloud, and that model that you were using that was inside your application will start using, instead of that, models that are on top of your application will start rendering the models from the cloud, and will apply the same functionality that you already coded in your application to all the models that are coming to from the cloud. So that's what it means when we say that you can interact with the holograms that are in the cloud and with the functionality and the different holograms you have inside your application. So with Azure Remote Rendering, you create sessions to make a rendering server available for your needs. And you're charged, let's say again, for rendering for the time server is made available until you release it. So let's keep on talking about this application. So if you don't use your application for a couple of months, you won't be charged. But once you start rendering those holograms, then that's when you will start being charged. As again, the same model pay as you go that we have with Azure. Okay. Awesome. So let's try to create, I decided to explain the concept and then explain, okay, let's try to jump on that and try to build everything. Something important about working with Azure Remote Rendering is that we have the dependency of the connection. I will explain in detail which are the dependencies at the end of the session, but there are a couple of things that I cannot do live because it takes a little bit longer than our session, but I did record from that part a couple of videos for you to see how we are going to be working on that. Okay, so I have, in case you don't know Azure, I have in here a test resource group, and inside I already have a remote rendering account and a storage account that was created, but I will try to think that I don't have one. Let me go to create. I will search for remote rendering. Okay, awesome. And there it goes. This would be the resource that we need to create. So let's go ahead and create it. First, we need to live demo. Let's put it live demo. Okay, we need to select a name for our resource, and we need to select.
Ivana, can you share another screen? Yeah, I think we are still stay in the, yeah, thank you so much.
I forgot I have to share the screen. Okay, thanks, Dominic, and let me know whatever that happens again, okay? I'm pretty sure you already see my screen, right? Do you see my browser?
Yes.
Awesome. Then we go back again. Great. So as I told you before, this is our resource group, and I have already here a remote rendering account, and I also have a storage account, and I will create another one from scratch. So let me go in here, and I will put remote rendering. Awesome. And great. Now I have the option to create. This is a service that you will be creating. So let's create it. I will put again live demo as a name. I will select my subscription. I will select my resource group, which I'm going to select exactly the one that I was using. And I'm going to select the location. So right now, these are the locations that this kind of service is available. As usual, it's recommended that you choose a region that is close to you. I'm in Argentina, so I have to say the closest one would be South Central US, and that's it. Let's create it. Okay, it's validating. Something important, and let me go to, okay, I am in my browser. Let me go to Azure Remote Rendering pricing. Great. Until it creates, I will go here and let's check this out. So important to understand this. I show you guys what's the cost of the service in the US, right? Now, what happens if I want to change regions? So this is happening to a couple of regions. I don't know why, but let me explain it to you. In the US are changing the value in some of the region, and the same happens with the other available regions. So the lowest cost will be the East US. So it can change, it can vary depending on the regions that you pick. I put only one region because I wanted you guys to understand high level the cost, but it doesn't get more expensive than $6 per hour in the case of the standard, and the asset conversion doesn't change. Okay, great. So let me go to my resource. And in here, as you see, I have already my remote rendering account. Awesome. Let me go again to my resource group. Great. So now, what do I have in here? I have in here a storage account I created, which has a container. It has two containers. One is the converted models, and the other ones are the source models. So the source model, let's go inside of that container, has the different FBX files that I uploaded, okay? And the converted model has that conversion